Hi, I'm John from New Jersey, and first time at Camp John New. It's been great. People are great. I had a couple experiences, and I highly recommend everyone check it out.
Bigfoot, a 50-year journey come full circle, written by Matthew A. Johnson. I'm Willie Rose. We are reading the book, and we're on chapter 26 of 50-year journey come full circle. After the Exodus had occurred, I drove to Puyallup, Washington to spend the 4th of July weekend with Cynthia. As promised, I brought Steve's electromagnetic pulsating device with me. I invited a few special friends to meet at Cynthia's home in order to tell them about the Exodus. Those present included Cynthia Kreitzberg, Steve Bachman, Anita Heblicek, Scott and Susan Taylor, and Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Jones. At first, we sat around the kitchen table visiting with one another while munching on delicious pizza and sipping on cold beer, soda, and water. As we were sitting there talking with one another, swapping stories and laughing together, I couldn't help but think that we all wouldn't be sharing this moment together if it wasn't for our mutual interest in the Bigfoot forest people phenomena. Everyone present had their own story to tell. All of us had been reeled in, one way or another, by our insatiable desire to learn the truth about our big hairy friends. Now my colleagues were about to hear the truth, and I couldn't wait to share it with them. After we had finished consuming our Italian cuisine, we moved from the dining room to the living room. Everyone found a comfy location to sit, and then I began to share the story of the Exodus with them. As I was sharing this story, I was watching my friends' eyes and body language. I was waiting for someone to roll their eyes and say, "Matt, I'm sorry, but you're full of crap." Never happened. Matter of fact, it was great to have Steve present because he was like an excited kid in a candy store, and he had a whole lot of information to enthusiastically share with everyone present. By the time Steve and I were done talking about the Exodus, everyone just sat there for a moment in silence. Then they all began to take turns sharing their thoughts with the group. The consistent response was that the story makes sense and ties together a whole lot of loose ends. The information that Zorth shared with me explained many unanswered questions for Scott Taylor, BFRO investigator, such as following a set of tracks that suddenly disappear and go nowhere, or a Bigfoot going behind a tree but not coming out the other side. It also explains why most Bigfoot activity takes place at night, because they're recharging, so to speak, inside the trees during the daylight hours. Finally, it also explains why there are so many myths, legends, and stories around the world in all kinds of cultures regarding the existence of tree spirits. The discussion continued for a long while as we pondered the implications of the revelations about the Bigfoot forest people. How would the community of Bigfoot researchers respond? Well, we were all in agreement regarding the 3/3 principle. The first 1/3 will immediately accept the revelation and the Exodus event without any doubts. They will become much more aware of their surroundings and start looking at trees a whole lot differently. The next 1/3 of the Bigfoot researcher community will understandably have to ponder the information, chew on it for a while, kick the can around, ask me and others questions, and eventually will come on board the woo-woo train as it continues to roll down the tracks. Combined together, approximately 2/3 of the Bigfoot researchers community will start seeking to better understand quantum physics and mechanics. Finally, they will start looking at the trees in their own backyard very differently. They will be talking to a whole lot more trees during the daylight hours and hugging them. The final one-third of the Bigfoot researchers community will continue to chase unicorns through the forest. They will disrespectfully blow me and my associates off as insane crackpots while they continue to try to find something that doesn't exist. In other words, the Bigfoot forest people are not descendants of the Gigantopithecus. They're not relic hominids. Perhaps after another 50 years of searching and not finding anything, these old-school paparazzi money-shot researchers will reconsider their theoretical position regarding who and what the Bigfoot forest people truly are. For now, at least they're having fun in the woods with their friends and getting some exercise while they're hiking up and down mountainsides. It doesn't harm anyone else to have a group of people enjoying their Bigfoot social club together. It's all good. After we were done talking and processing the exodus in the living room, we went back into the kitchen so Steve could talk about his electromagnetic pulsating device and turn it on for everyone to see, hear, and feel. Yes, I said feel. While the machine is running, you can literally feel the created free energy pulsating from the device. It's spectacular to experience it. Everyone was amazed by Steve's creation. As everyone was leaving, I grabbed a hold of Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Jones, former BFRO investigator, and asked him if he could arrange a breakfast meeting between Bob Gimlin and me. I told him that I would pay for everyone's breakfast. We both agreed that Bob needed to hear about the revelation of information from Zorth, as well as the story of the Exodus. It was time for a journey to come full circle and wrap things up for Bob so he could understand his role in helping the Exodus to occur. On Thursday morning, July 7th, 2016, I met Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Jones and Bob Gimlin at the Sherry's restaurant in Yakima, Washington. I was grateful that Kevin helped arrange the meeting with Bob. I was also honored that Bob was willing to give me his time and ear. He is a very gracious and kind individual to everyone he meets. At first, Kevin and I met at the restaurant and waited for Bob. While waiting, we playfully argued about who was going to pay for breakfast. Although I had intended to pay for breakfast, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Jones pulled rank on me and insisted that he was going to pay for the meal since he was hosting the meal. We also playfully argued about Bob's height. Kevin estimated that he was somewhere up there with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I was estimating somewhere in the Munchkin zone from The Wizard of Oz. Apparently, we were both wrong. While we were waiting for Bob to arrive, Kevin and I discussed our healing experiences with the Bigfoot forest people. Kevin discussed how he believed that they healed people. I shared with Kevin about how the Bigfoot forest people healed my leg, prostate, and abdomen. We agreed that they're able to manipulate energy to speed up our body's ability to heal itself. While we continued to wait for Bob's arrival, Kevin brought up an interesting idea regarding the portal in Soya. He wondered if it would be possible to obtain Zorth's permission to go through the portal and document their home planet. We discussed the ancient alien race that placed the portals all over the universe. We speculated about how many worlds and alien races existed across the universe. I played one of my favorite YouTube videos for Kevin. It's called Other Life in the Universe by Howard Storm. It's only 4 minutes and 23 seconds long, but it's plumb full of enlightening information. Kevin talked about how things happen for a reason. He talked about a ranch in Washington where they have Bigfoot and orb activity. He also said that they've had some UFO activity occur at the ranch. He spent some time at the ranch and enjoyed his experiences. He learned about multiple beings as well as beings of light. Eventually, Bob arrived and enthusiastically greeted both of us. He was very apologetic for being late. We encouraged him to order breakfast. He discussed his ailing back and neck and how it's been slowing him down. Kevin shut Bob down and told him to quit apologizing. He was on time and there were no worries. Bob ordered some scrambled eggs, bacon, wheat toast, and coffee. Then he playfully dissed Kevin about not really telling him why we were meeting. Kevin joked with Bob that we were conducting an intervention on him about his crazy infatuation with Bigfoot. He laughed and said that the psychologist never helped him while he was in the military. Since I finished eating right about the time that Bob arrived, I began to tell him about the story of the Exodus. Before I began to talk, I reminded him that he has heard me present 3 times. Although he clearly remembered my presentation at Johnny Manson's Sasquatch Summit in 2013, he didn't remember everything that I shared at my conference because so many people who wanted to visit with him were interrupting him. Therefore, we agreed that it was important to quickly summarize my research experience that all led up to the Exodus. When I got to the point where I had changed my theoretical orientation and started viewing them as a forest people, Bob was pleased to hear about it. I talked about zapping, mind speak, healing, orbs, cloaking, etc. Bob said that he remembered listening to me talk about the Bigfoot forest people healing my leg. As I was continuing to talk, Bob told me that he didn't think I was crazy and that it wasn't new information to him. He said that he wanted to see more people do the kind of research that I was doing. He told me that he'd talked with the local elders of the Yakima Indian tribe, and they view them as a people. He shared that he doesn't like the aggressive approach that so many Bigfoot researchers utilize today. I told Bob about the portal in Soha in June of 2014. Then I shared about all our other amazing experiences in Soha and how the trolls crashed it. I shared how the Bigfoot forest people moved me on to Soya and the subsequent experiences, including the 2-hour mind speak with Onks. Finally, I was able to tell Bob all about our 4 nights in Soya during June, including the story of the Exodus on June 27th, 2016. I shared with Bob that the Bigfoot forest people intentionally had Patty slow down her vibrational frequency so both he and Roger Patterson could film her at Bluff Creek, California in October of 1967. They wanted to get the attention of the human race and have people come look for them. I further explained the funnel effect and how it was all intended to get people to befriend them, discover the portals, figure out how to reopen the portals, and ultimately help them with the Exodus. Bob said, "I believe you." He said, "What you're saying to me is what I've believed for a long, long time. I've talked with others who believe the same thing as you do about their paranormal abilities. Also, when I told you that I really enjoyed your presentation at Johnny's conference, I meant every word of it." After I'd finished telling Bob everything that I had to say to him, I shared that Zorth wanted me to thank him for helping to make the Exodus possible. I also shared with Bob that Bigfooting as we know it was going to change. I told him that I know what I shared sounds really crazy. Bob responded by saying, "What you've shared with me are things that I've been thinking about for a real long time. I've never explained these things to other humans. I used to fly above the earth out of my body. Also, I've been to places that I've never been to before, but I knew where I was because I had already seen it in my mind. The older I've been getting, I've been losing that ability." I found it amazing to hear this from Bob Gimlin. Bob went on to say, "The Bigfoot people are here to protect us and heal us. When you talked about healing, that hit home with me. big time. I strongly believe that they have helped me with all of my injuries over the years. What you shared with me is great and incredible. I never realized the tree thing until you told me about it. However, I believe that they have the ability to be what we can't see. It's all changing. I've heard others share with me similar things. We all thought Beckchard was weird, but apparently he was right. They're in the trees. Bob continued, I believe that they're beings of light and energy. Many others believe it too. I've talked with a number of them. It's so good that you shared this information with me. I never felt like I was helping out. However, many people told me that they had no interest until they saw the film. People your age had their parents take them to the movie. The thing that really bothers me is the people who want to try and bring a body in. I've been asked numerous times why I didn't shoot Patty. It was never an option. I was too busy watching and trying to understand what I was witnessing. It happened so dramatically fast. She covered a lot of ground in that short period of time. I wanted to get on the horse and follow her, but Roger asked me not to leave him alone. Bob said, Now that you're telling me this, I now believe everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. I didn't know that they had planned it, but it's amazing. We weren't able to follow her up the canyon because it wasn't meant to be. You don't know how special it is for me to be here and listen to what you have shared with me. Kevin piped up and said, It's hard to believe, but with Matt, it's much easier to swallow. Everything that Matt has described, I have experienced myself. I've experienced batteries draining and cloaking. It's easy to believe Matt because it's happened to me. Bob asked me about the Bigfoot forest people and how they created the shunt with the energy from the electromagnetic pulsating device. I took the time to explain the process to him, and he was very fascinated. He was really happy to hear that so many souls were brought through the portal from their dying planet to Earth. Kevin told Bob, That machine, when you get close to it, you can feel the pulsating energy coming off of it. Bob said, I will never tell anyone about what you told me, and I will be at your conference next April. Bob then shifted the discussion from Bigfoot to UFOs for a few minutes. He was fascinated. He's very fascinated by how all the huge structures like the pyramids were built in the past. I told him that I had no opinion about UFOs and how the pyramids were built because I haven't been told about them. I said, I can only comment on what I've experienced and what I've been told. In closing, I said to Bob, what I wanted you to get out of this is the fact that Zorth wanted me to thank you for your help. It was important for this journey to come around full circle. He told me that if kind people with good hearts and open minds reach out to them, then they will reach back. Bob said, I talked with this older Indian woman who was over 100 years old. Her name was Mary. She asked me why we were going about looking for Bigfoot in the wrong ways. She said that we didn't need to yell at them, hit trees, and set up cameras. She said that all we had to do was go out into the forest with clear minds and be open to them. Then she said that they like music. Just go into the woods and accept them, talk to them, and tell them that you're there to be their friends. If people laugh at you, let them laugh at you. They've been among us long before we were on Earth. They've talked to my parents and my grandparents. They gave the medicine man great healing powers. He wouldn't have it if they didn't give it to them. That was about 25 years ago when I talked to Mary. Well, my visit with Bob and Kevin came to an end. They had to go about their day, and I had to drive all the way back south down to Grants Pass, Oregon. It was going to be a long day of driving for me. I can't begin to tell you how awesome it was to sit there at the breakfast table and visit with Bob, tell him all about the Exodus, and be able to extend a thank you to him on behalf of Zorth and all of the Bigfoot forest people. Most important of all, Bob thanked me for helping to bring the bigger picture around full circle for him. He was thrilled that both he and Roger Patterson played a key role in helping the Exodus to eventually happen 50 years later. Bob truly is a kind person with a good heart and an open mind. That is why the Bigfoot forest people like and respect him so much. That is the end of chapter 26. A 50-year journey come full circle. And we move on to chapter 27, the rest of the story. Woohoo, Paul Harvey. You've been listening to the reading of Bigfoot, a 50-year journey come full circle by Dr. Matthew A. Johnson. I'm Willie Rose.